Let me tell you a story that has been passed down through the generations, a tale of a girl from the north, Arya Stark, a girl who lost everything but never lost herself. My grandmother used to say, "In winter, the wolf is strongest." Arya was that wolf. She didn't just survive, she thrived. This is the story of how she became a force to be reckoned with, a name that even the dead feared to hear. Arya Stark was just a girl when her world fell apart. Her family, the great House Stark of Winterfell, was torn apart by betrayal, murder, and war. Her father, Eddard Stark, was executed in the capital of King's Landing. Her mother, Catelyn, and her brother Robb were brutally murdered at the Red Wedding. Arya saw it all happen. She was too young to understand the depth of the world's cruelty, but old enough to feel the rage and pain that came with it. They say that fire can either destroy or forge something new. For Arya, that fire turned her into something else entirely. She didn't break. Instead, she began to form a list of names. Those who had wronged her, those who had caused her family pain, would pay. Every night she would whisper their names before bed, never letting herself forget the wrongs done to her. Cersei, Walder Frey, the Mountain, she'd recite. It became like a prayer, but this was no ordinary prayer. It was a promise. Arya's journey began the day she escaped King's Landing. Alone and disguised as a boy, she wandered the lands of Westeros. The road was long, hard, and filled with danger, but Arya was no ordinary girl. She was a wolf from the north, and winter was in her blood. As my grandmother would say, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. But Arya, she wasn't going to die. Not yet. She had a list to complete. Her journey took her across the narrow sea to Braavos, where she found the mysterious House of Black and White. There, Arya learned from the Faceless Men, an ancient order of assassins who served the many-faced god, the god of death. It was there that Arya learned to become no one. But the truth is, she was never really no one. She was always Arya Stark, the girl with a list. As she trained, she became a deadly force. She learned to change her face, her voice, her very identity. She learned to fight in the dark, to strike without hesitation, to silence her enemies without them ever seeing her coming. But deep down, she held onto herself because she had unfinished business. One of the names on Arya's list was Walder Frey, the man responsible for the massacre of her family at the Red Wedding. When she finally returned to Westeros, she didn't come as a girl seeking revenge. She came as death itself. She wore the face of one of Frey's servants, infiltrated his castle, and took her revenge. She poisoned his sons, then killed Walder Frey, but not before letting him know exactly who she was. Before she slit his throat, Arya told him, "When they ask you what happened here, tell them, winter came for House Frey." The girl who once whispered names at night had now begun to cross them off her list. But Arya's story wasn't just about revenge, it was about survival. And survival, for her, meant knowing when to fight and when to walk away. There was a wisdom to her, a cold, sharp clarity that cut through the chaos of the world. As Arya once said, "A girl is not afraid to die, but a girl will live first." She knew that death was inevitable, but she refused to let it take her before she finished what she set out to do. One by one, the names on her list began to disappear, until only a few remained. But Arya Stark wasn't just a killer. She was still a Stark of Winterfell, and that meant something. It meant loyalty, honor, and family. When the time came to fight for her home, for her family, she did not hesitate. In the great battle against the Night King, when all hope seemed lost, it was Arya who struck the final blow. In one swift movement, she ended the threat of death that had hung over the world for so long. My grandmother used to say, "The North remembers." And Arya? She remembered everything, the names, the faces, the pain, but most of all, she remembered who she was. Now Arya's story is a legend, passed down through the Starks of Winterfell and beyond. She wasn't just a girl with a list, she was a girl who faced the world's darkest corners and came out stronger. She was a wolf in a world full of lions and dragons, and in the end, it was the wolf who survived. So what do you think? Did Arya become the woman she was always meant to be? Or was she shaped by the pain and loss she endured? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you want to hear more stories like this, about the heroes and villains of Westeros, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Winter may be over, but the tales of the North will live on forever.